Guess who's back? Back again. It's going off the reels. I am here. It is a gloomy Friday, March 1st in Southern California. Nick. Hello, Jeff.
How's it going, Nick? Back
Doing
again.
well. Back again. Here we go.
Busy lives, but got to make time for this. Got to review some movies, man.
Right? Let's go. Today we are golfing.
Yes.
You know, apparently you're a golfer. So we are going to discuss Happy Gilmore and Tin Cup.
Yes.
Happy Gilmore is the classic Adam Sandler movie with Christopher McDonald. Both of these movies were released in 1996. Tin Cup, well, that one is a little bit different. And
Just a little.
While it's got Kevin Costner in another one of his top acting roles, we'll get there. We'll get to it. Jeff, it's been a while since we last talked. I know there have been some things happening in sports that we can deter from. I think both of us are in the same mindset that a loss is now a loss and there's nothing we can do, and there's things that could have been changed with the 49ers.
Yeah. I'm over it now. I'm past it. I'm over it. I've accepted defeat. It did not go quickly. I did not accept it very easily or quickly. But you know what? What can you do? Yeah. I mean, you lost to Mahomes, man. I mean, he's the freaking GOAT. I mean, he's really turning out to be. And like, why we always got to face Mahomes in the damn Super Bowl, man? How come it couldn't have been freaking Joe Burrow like the Rams got? Not fair.
Not fair. You know, you got to take care of your mistake. You can't make mistakes.
You can't fumble the ball, McCaffrey.
You can't fumble that one. Didn't come out and hurt us, but that was the punt.
It didn't hurt in the moment, but it took points away. You know what I mean? We scored touch. I still contend that was I mean, I know it's early in the game. There's a whole game to go, but that was just such a big turning point in that game. That fumble that he put on the ground, first drive, 10 yards of play. We're averaging there. We're going to get it at the minimum 3 points there. And we were looking to get a touchdown, I think. And I think we scored a touchdown there. That game is completely different.
Just frustrating. You start the game on a positive, and instead you hand the ball right over, and then your offense has to find its rhythm again.
Yep, all over again. It just didn't quite get that rhythm.
Never got that rhythm.
It's getting mad all over again, Nick. I'm getting mad.
Sorry.
Over it.
I'm not over it, but I'm not in the mindset where I was the last time, where it was like, oh my God, we were up by however many. Yeah, I get it. The 49ers had the lead. They had the lead, and
multiple times, and in freaking overtime too, man. That's
and then overtime happens.
Says Purdy this, Purdy that. Well, he had the lead. He led them to the lead 3 different times in that game in the second half. So
it wasn't on him. Not on him.
I don't think it was on him either. I think it's good that they got rid of Wilkes. I never liked that from the beginning. I hope they hired Brandon Staley. I think he'd be a great fit. I think his scheme would really work well with what we have. I think his schemes, I know he was a terrible head coach. I know. I understand that with the Chargers, but that dude is a good coordinator and he can coach defense. And like what he did with the Chargers was really like get 2 guys, Mac and Bosa, to the quarterback. Like they were really good at that. And that's the one thing we need. We need 2 guys to get to the quarterback instead of just Bosa. Bosa and either Jackson or Farrell or whoever's on the other side of the line, Chase Young, to get to the quarterback. And I think Brandon Staley can really help with that.
If Chase Young stays and if Chase Young plays the way that we know he can play.
I don't think he's going to stay.
I think he's too much of a cap hit.
Pick it up.
Yeah, Drake Jackson, and then you've got Hargrave in the middle. There's a lot of different options, and we'll discuss that as we get closer to next season. We're getting closer to baseball season. We're talking a lot more about that. Hockey's starting to heat up. Jeff's not, the biggest of hockey fans, but
I don't know much. I like hockey. I
who is a hockey fan?
The one
Look
with all
at this
the
transition
on right now.
Happy Gilmore. Happy Gilmore.
Yes.
So this movie released in 1996. Adam Sandler, the belated Carl Weathers.
Yes.
And
just passed. But last month, right? Recently, in the last couple of weeks, I think. Right before we recorded our last episode. That's right.
Christopher McDonald, Jeff, how many times have you seen this
Oh
movie,
man,
if you can
I
count it?
I've seen this movie so many times. I love this movie. Happy Gilmore can do no wrong for me. This is my favorite Adam Sandler movie, hands down. It's just hilarious. I saw it in theaters back in the day. '96. I was like 17, probably 16 or 17 years old. So I mean, that's right in the sweet spot there. I love everything about it. And we all went to the freaking driving range the next day and tried to hit that ball like that, dude. It was like a bunch of us, me and my friends, we went and totally did that. No, nobody really hit it very good, but we all tried. That's for dang sure. But yeah, I love this movie. I like it because it's really his second movie, like really starring Billy Madison, the first one. And I mean, just between that movie and this movie, you can see the difference and the way that he grew as like just a comedic performer, leaving out. There's definitely the juvenile humor. Obviously, I mean that's Adam Sandler's his shtick back in the '90s, but it was a much more subdued and maturing, kind of like his character that got mature, kind of matured throughout the process of the film. You could tell between this one and Happy Billy Madison how he kind of refined that kind of like you know childish behavior and the way that he acted, which I really appreciated, and not being so childish like he was in Billy Madison, because he could have easily just been this movie could have been Billy Madison plays golf easily. But I
Easily.
like that he kind of grew a little bit. I mean, like I said, it was definitely, he still, has some childish moments and stuff like that. But, I think he did a lot better job in this one than Billy Madison, which I love. Billy Madison, I love too, but I really like this movie. What about you? How many times have you seen it?
I own this movie. It's part of a two pack that I have along with Billy Madison. So I I can tell you that I've at least watched it 15, 20 times.
Yeah,
Never really
easily.
done as much research into it as I did for this one. So one of the interviews that I saw with Christopher McDonald was he came up with the
Oh,
all that
yeah.
stuff on the fly. It was just an ad lib.
Oh,
And
really? That's awesome.
there was one, I think it was the last hole that he shot, where there were guys on set that were laying down money that because he had missed so many, and when he finally made it, he said something like, "Take that and stuff it," and that was because everybody on set was betting that he wasn't going to make the shot, and
That's
so
funny.
I was looking at interviews that he's done. He did an episode of the Rich Eisen show, and I really like the stuff that Rich Eisen does. Going back to his ESPN days, and now he's whatever network. I think he's on Peacock. He's on the Peacock network,
Yeah, I think
NBC
so.
Universal, and he's done so many interviews. But it was just hilarious that that was
He's
one of the interviews that
he's great.
he
It
did,
was so
and
good.
they were talking about it because I forget who was on the Mason and Ireland show, but recently it was the 25th anniversary, and so they brought a bunch of people in, um, or they were just talking about it on the show, and I think Christopher McDonald called in, and
Oh,
he's been
really? I missed
really,
that one.
really awesome talking about it. That bad guy you love to hate
Yeah.
because it's
Oh,
like,
he's a great villain, man. I mean, he's one of the best villains. I mean, if you think about it, he's one of the greater villains that in any movies. You know what I
yeah,
mean? He played it so good. You know, you see movies where people trying to kind of do what he did and try to be the bad guy. The greatest guy on tour, couldn't quite do it. Just kind of an asshole to everybody, to the the antagonist to our protagonist.
yeah,
And but he just does it so good. He plays it like just so well, like not so serious, but serious enough where you want to dislike him, but not serious enough where you can still laugh at it and know that he's in on the joke too. Um, and I love, yeah, just in the years that he's really accepted it, because a lot of dudes, they don't want to be known for one character and things like that. A lot of actors, you hear about like, I don't want to be known for this. I hate when people always like, oh hey, there's Jim from The Office, like I have a name. People don't like that. Um, but he's like fully embraced it. He loves it. From everything I've heard, he's and sees on Twitter, he like tweets as Shooter McGavin, and it's really great. I really like that. I love that he really leaned into that character and had fun with it, because people love it and people love him as that character. It's so great. He really did a great job. And I know every time we see him, you think Shooter now. And like I said, I know a lot of actors don't like that, but I mean, I'm glad that he just leaned into that and really went with it.
If I ever came across him, I think that one of my conversations would be, Mr. McGavin. I'm sorry, Mr. McDonald. That's the slip right there because your last name is you're a Mick.
Yeah.
You know why the beach ball? What kind of bad feelings do you still have for beach ball?
Damn you people, scoff.
Yeah. I did like, the beginning of the movie where the two guys are moving and it's like, you can't just take her stuff. She's old. Look at her. She's old. Yeah, I did some research on grandma. Her name's Frances Evelyn Bay.
She's been a lot. You see her
She's
all the
been
time.
a lot,
Yeah.
but it's all one episode here, one episode there.
Exactly.
She was also in
like
the
Seinfeld, right? Was she? No.
She had a couple episodes of Seinfeld, yeah, but she was also in Arachnophobia.
I never saw that.
Well, it was set in Northern California.
Okay. Was she the Marble Rye? Was she the Marble Rye? Was she the Marble Rye lady from Seinfeld?
From Seinfeld, it's very possible.
I remember.
This was filmed in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Yeah. Wait, you're telling me that was not Pebble Beach?
That was not Pebble Beach. Right. No.
That wasn't San Francisco either?
No. That was filmed in Canada. Lake in the middle?
No, weird.
All filmed
weird.
in Canada.
Bizarre. It looks so much like San Francisco, with the rolling hills.
Yeah. From what I've been told, Vancouver is very spacious and is very accommodating to filmmakers.
I've been there.
So I've not.
Vancouver's basically Seattle, extension of Seattle. I've been there. It's just like America. It's like you never even left. People are exactly the same. Nobody says a or calls you a hoser there at all. It was very disappointing.
I'll call you a hoser. Will that change things?
Thank you. But they get tax breaks in Canada. That's why they film there. So when you're on a lower budget and you have the smaller scale film, and a lot of films are made up there for tax reasons. It's like you get better tax breaks up there. So if you don't have a big budget, a lot of ones you'll see go up there and do that. But if you got the big budget, you do it here in America. But lower budgets, lower to mid, you kind of go up to Canada and make Vancouver look like New York or Seattle or any of the big cities, because it is kind of like a generic. Sorry, I don't want to offend any Canadians or Vancouvers out there of the 20 people who listen, but it's a very kind of generic looking city. There's no, Seattle has the Space Needle. San Francisco has the bridge. LA has a Hollywood sign. New York has, obviously you can tell New York, and Vancouver's just kind of like, it's just there, just kind of average looking, normal. What you would think a big city looks like in
Canadian
Canada.
Rockies.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah, I just hope John Denver's not full of shit.
Nailed it.
I love the cameos by Ben Stiller, and the other one was Kevin Nealon.
So good in this. Every time I watch this, I forget that he's in it. And then he comes on. I'm like, yes, Ben Stiller is the best. 20s down to the right here. He's great. He's great.
Yeah. How about this $1? This take nice sweet care of my grandma over here.
Yeah. A whole dollar.
Yeah, a whole dollar that's balled up. And then Kevin Nealon's character, it's very similar to his character in Grandma's Boy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I found out that Grandma's Boy is the most stolen DVD from Blockbuster when Blockbuster was around.
Really?
Yeah. Kevin was it Kevin Swartzen?
Yeah, right. No, yeah, he was in it. Yeah. Yeah.
He wrote that. He wrote that movie. He did Malibu's Most Wanted as well. But he wrote that movie and it bombed at the box office, and he knew it was going to bomb at the box office, but then he went on to a show and he's talking about it. He's like, and I get this complaint from the guy from Blockbuster that my movie was the most stolen movie.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, it's great. It's such a cult classic. We could go on and on about it. It's it hits so many different levels.
Yeah.
But I did want to hit on, because Chubbs dies in this movie and Carl Weathers just died. One of the things that Adam Sandler had said about Carl Weathers was he was a true great man, always fun to be around, great person, great friend, great father, all of the above. I found this video on YouTube about stars going back and reflecting on Carl Weathers, and I forgot that he was in The Mandalorian, because after that second season, I kind of tailed off. It just got to be a little bit too much for me. They were trying to work in too many Star Wars ways, and while I love Star Wars, I think that it's getting to a point where it's like your universe
It's
is so
oversaturated.
expansive, but
Yeah.
yes, it's oversaturated. Like we've got so many different shows. Like how many you have so many supporting characters that we're talking about now,
Yeah.
and it's confusing because then you tie in main characters like, wait, these guys are dead,
Yeah.
or we're
It
CGIing
just
everything.
it lost it's same thing with the Marvel stuff. There's so many of it that there's no like downtime
No,
to miss it anymore. You know what I mean? There's no like wait, like you just there's another show and you just watch that, and you go into the next one, and then there's a movie, and then there's this, and there's no downtime. You know, there's not like years in between to like crave it. Like, oh man, I need some more Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like, when's that coming out? When are they going to do a new one? You know, or the same thing with Marvel. Like, oh, cool. When's the next Marvel movie coming out? Oh, not for another year. Oh man, I can't wait. Now it's like, when's it coming out? Oh, next week. When's the show coming out? Oh, there's like 3 on right now.
tomorrow.
Like that's the problem. You know, it's
Yeah.
just oversaturated, just watered down, just too much,
And it's
and you
tiring.
lose. Yeah, it's tiring, and like I said, it's hard to keep up, especially with the Marvel stuff, with the
Yeah.
multiverse and all that. So yeah.
Loki was
Yeah, I
fun.
forgot about Carl Weathers in there. What else is he in? I know he was in Predator, right? Wasn't he
He
in
was in
Predator?
Predator.
What else? I don't even know what else he was in besides those in
I
the
didn't I didn't do an
his main
extensive
ones.
I didn't do an extensive list on him, but
You know, outside of the Rockies and this and
yeah, he was. I mean, those movies were great. Yeah, wow, 1948.
wow, that's the same age as my dad then. My dad was born then.
Let's see.
Yeah, Carl Weathers great. I love my mama wouldn't. Would you play football? No, my mama wouldn't sign the permission slip. Said it was too dangerous. How'd that work out?
From
There's so many
Alabama.
lines from this movie. Like I didn't realize how many lines that I actually quote on a almost daily basis from this movie. Like when I hear it back, I'm like, oh my god, that's where I got that. That's where I mean, I knew some of them. You know, like it's just tap it in, it's a little tappy tap. Why don't you
Happening?
just go home? Like I know those
Go
ones,
your
but like,
home.
you know, when you're home, but like, dude, I mean, I've been saying like, where were you on that dipshit? I've been saying that for years. Like when he says that to his caddy, uh, or we used to always say, "Oh, it must be Burt Reynolds or something." I totally forgot that was from this movie. We always say that every time we see it. Every time we see a limo, me and my buddy be like, "Oh, it must be Burt Reynolds or something." And
uh,
so I forgot that it came from this,
Grizzly
and then
Adams
damn
did
it,
have a beard.
yeah, yeah, I hate that. Damn, I hate that Bob Barker. Like we used to say that all the time. Every time we see Price is Right, like oh, so many quotes in this movie. It's just so great. I love it.
He did
Did you?
a little bit of a role in the Toy Story movies. He was called Combat Carl, but that's really it. Close
Okay,
Encounters of the Third Kind.
he was in Arrested Development,
One episode of
right?
Starsky and Hutch. I haven't gotten. I'm going back a little bit.
Okay.
75 his career
He
and
played.
started in
He played
73.
himself in. He played himself in Arrested Development, if I remember correctly, and he like what is called Tobias, the David Cross character. He
Yeah, Carl
like took
Weathers.
lessons from him.
He was in Psych for one episode. He was on ER for one episode. Yeah, nothing really big, but it's just the Rocky movies and being Apollo Creed. And
Yeah,
Apollo Creed is just such a character that you get attached to because of how he comes in and he's like, I'm gonna whoop you. I'm gonna whoop you,
yeah.
Stallion. And the
The
relationship
Italian.
that he has with Rocky are just,
Yeah,
those movies I could go back and watch and watch and watch. And, we talked about it when we talked about Invincible, where he's running through the streets of Philadelphia just like Sylvester Stallone was. And
mm-hmm.
those movies were a lot of fun to watch, going back through and 1 through 4. But then the same thing, it's oversaturated where now you're bringing in Apollo Creed, his son, where now you've got Creed movies and you've got Michael B. Jordan as Apollo's son and Sylvester Stallone as the trainer. So at what point is it too much? And yeah, maybe I do want to go watch those movies, but you're not going to compare to Rocky 2, Rocky 3, and Rocky 4.
Nothing compares to Rocky 4.
No. That's probably one of the best action sports movies, top 5 action sports movies.
Take down, end the Cold War, just right there.
Yeah,
So
I mean it right there. Um, Jeff, how many times in your life have you golfed? Can you count them on one hand? Because I can.
No, but I could probably count them. I'm not a huge golfer. I learned to golf at an early age. Like I know how to golf. Like I know my dad is a big golfer, and so I learned. I had clubs at an early age. I never was very good at it. I was fine. I never really took to it. Um, I like it. I have a lot of fun. I probably play maybe once a year, once every couple of years. I'll go to the driving range every once in a while. Like I said, I'm not very good. Sometimes I get lucky and hit a good shot. I'm there usually just to drink beers and have fun with my friends.
Do you play
And
better
drive
when
the
you're
cart around.
wasted?
No. It usually gets worse.
It usually gets worse
As the day goes along.
You're no tin cup.
No, I have to play sports pretty much as an even keel. Like for softball, I'll have I can have 2 light beers, but that's where I draw the line. I don't like to be buzzed at all while I'm doing sports. Like even when I'm playing pool, like I don't like to be drinking. Like if I'm gonna be playing, I want to play for a little more than just messing around. Like when we would go to bars, you got to spend money to do it, and you're actually playing against people. Back when we used to go in college, I'd be like, I'm just gonna have one because I want to try to win or try to beat people here. But yeah, I need to be pretty sober when I play sports, otherwise it doesn't go well.
I can understand that.
What about you?
I grew up across the street from the Laundry Park, so I golfed there twice. In my life, I've golfed maybe 5 times.
Okay.
But it's it was never something that was pushed on me. People would ask me if I wanted to play, and then it's like, okay, cool. What time's tea time? 7:00.
That's 5 a.m.
Yeah. What? What?
Dude,
Who in their right mind is going to wake up to go golf and drink
on a Saturday
at 5:00 in the morning? No.
I know, right? No.
Yeah.
That is one thing. You gotta get up. And then, in LA, dude, you gotta to even get a tea time on a Saturday, you have to wake up at 4 a.m. the week before. You have to call to get in the queue, to get in line, to call the clubhouse, what do you call it? The clubhouse or whatever it's called, to get a tea time. It's just very difficult. If somebody wants to go, I'm happy to go. I'm cool to go. Maybe if the tea time's 9, 10. My work used to have a yearly golf tournament, and I would play in that. Now it didn't start till noon, which is perfect. Great, perfect. And then you could really do some drinking there. But yeah, that was always a lot of fun. But yeah, like I said, I've golfed. I know how to golf. I'm not very good at it. I feel like it messes up my softball swing, so I don't really golf that much. Because I feel like when I tried to get into it, in the early 2000s, I felt like my softball swing got all messed up. So I kind of was like, all right, I don't want to. Softball is more important. So. Yeah.
There is a real life Happy Gilmore. His true first name is Landon Gilmore, but he recently committed to Ball State University in Indiana to play collegiate golf.
There you go.
So we do have a real life Happy Gilmore. And then, I really loved how this movie plays out. Adam Sandler, Richard Kiel has that cameo again as Adam Sandler's boss, where he hits him. He's messing around with the nail gun. And with Jaws from
the nail gun. Yeah,
he was in The Longest Yard, the first Longest Yard.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, this movie. If you're looking for a movie about golf that's not too serious, that kind of allows you to have fun with it, this is your type of movie. Comedy, action,
it's funny,
fun. Exactly.
Julie Bowen, she's great in it too, as the straight woman. The straight character to Happy's craziness. So I really liked her. She was great. It was one of her first starring roles too, and it's funny to see her in short hair. I always forget she's in this movie too, because I really like her in Modern Family and a bunch of other things she's done. She's really great. Did you look up any long drives? Because those are fun to look at, man. I don't know if you looked up some long drives.
No, I didn't look at any longest drives.
Oh, man. All right. So if you're anybody out there in YouTube, Nick, go look up Kyle Berkshire on Instagram. And you can just see this dude hitting absolute bombs, dude. So he holds the record, actually. Kyle Berkshire holds the record for longest drive, not in competition, but at a long drive, not in a round of golf, I mean. But just the longest overall. I forgot. I should have wrote that down. I know there's a guy, I can't remember his name, in an actual tournament, golf match has the longest drive, but Kyle Berkshire holds the longest drive for 579.63 yards.
Woo!
Wow, dude, that's almost 6 freaking football fields, man. That is insane. And he just did that last year, or last year, and just this past year, 2023. I think it was in October, so really recently. Check him out. He's got long hair. His swing is just super violent. I go there and just check him out every once in a while. He's just hitting some freaking piss missiles with some irons, and it's just insane how far this dude can drive the ball, man. So it's crazy.
There is a article on Kyle Berkshire's quest to hit the longest drive of all time on golf.com.
Yeah.
According to Google,
it's different.
Guinness Book of World Records recognizes
they have a different one
in competition, and it's 515 yards.
That's insane too, man. In a competition, what's the dude's name? I saw that too. Yeah, when you Google
Mike Austin, 1974 at the U.S. National Seniors Open in Las Vegas.
Dude,
he was 60.
Seniors Open. I didn't catch that.
He was 64.
He hit the golf path, man.
Yeah.
He hit the freaking golf cart. He hit the golf path. And that thing took off. That's bullshit. That senior dude ain't hitting it in 1974 with a real wood. Ain't hitting it 515 yards. Get out of here.
He had 27-mile-an-hour wind behind his back.
Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. When he got that jet stream, just freaking took off.
He got what Tin Cup needed, but a little gust from the gods.
Yeah, that's funny. Also, I looked up who has the most time spent in a penalty box all time in the NHL. You might know. I don't know. It's Dave Williams. I don't know. I think he was in the 80s. He spent 3,971 minutes in the penalty box. And he didn't even play 1,000 games. The next two guys below him played over 1,000 games.
Who are those guys? Do we know those guys?
I don't know. I've never heard of any of these dudes' names. I'd have to look at it again.
So what's hilarious is he starts talking about that, and this is one of the parts of the movie that I had to go back to, laugh at, and go back to again. So for a couple of years after the Kings won their second cup, I had season seats, and we'd always take, Nichelle and I would go, and there'd be a fight, and Nichelle would say, "Take your skate off and stab him with it." I never knew that Happy Gilmore was thrown out of hockey for taking his skate off and trying to stab somebody. Exactly.
Stab somebody.
Set a record. 2 records that have never been broken. And so she was sitting there when he said it, and I kind of rewound it. I said, "Hey, babe, you gotta pay attention to this one." And she's like, "I did not get that from the movie. I legitimately just wanted them to beat the crap out of each other." Yeah, that's all she wanted to see. You go to a hockey game. You go to it's like that Rodney Dangerfield comic. He's like, "I went to a boxing match and a hockey game broke out."
That's funny.
And,
as one last thing I want to mention is Bob Barker, because obviously that fight, it's iconic. I mean, I remember seeing that for the first time. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Look at Bob Barker. And that fight really, Price is Right. That's been around. I don't even know how long, 60s, 70s. I don't know how long that was around, but
easily
I remember after this, dude. Yeah. I mean, but this, this scene, Bob Barker being in this movie, really, it gave him a second, life. You know what I mean? In his other half, because it really exposed him to a whole new audience, people like me who kind of knew. It's like, okay, we watched that on rainy days, maybe a little bit, but he became so much more iconic from being in that fight scene with Adam Sandler than I think he would have ever been if he hadn't been. You know what I mean? He became part of pop culture even more by doing that fight. It won, in the 1996 VMAs, it won Best Fight, and it won a bunch of other things, for on silly award shows, things like that. But I really think that he elevated his status in pop culture by doing this movie. And Bob Barker's great. Love Bob Barker.
I thought he was amazing in this movie. I thought, I don't think that there was a point in this movie where it's a fantasy movie. Of course, it's going to be unbelievable, because if you're a golfer who's like, "Nah, I don't, no thanks." It's kind of like Angels in the Outfield. You're not going to take that movie seriously, knowing that there's supernatural forces in baseball. This movie, it's a comedy. The dude, nobody's going to hit like this. I've tried. I'll tell you that I've tried. I tried when I played softball to friggin' wind up like that. And there's dudes that can do it and hit tanks. I can hit the ball. I can't hit it that hard.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, me too.
All right, we're going to move on to the other golf movie from 1996. We are talking about Ron Shelton's Tin Cup, filmed in Tucson, Arizona, and Kingwood, Texas. This was Kevin Costner's look at reprise after filming Waterworld and Waterworld tanking.
Oh, that was a brutal
Yeah,
movie.
I watched it in theaters and I did not care for it. This movie
No,
made
I haven't seen it in a while.
Now, this movie made 45 million in the first week, grossed 76 million worldwide. The second golf movie that held its own was Caddyshack with 40 million. Some of the other movies we were talking about that Ron Shelton had either written or produced were Bull Durham, White Men Can't Jump, Blue Chips, Cobb, The Great White Hype, Bad Boys 2, and Hollywood Homicide.
Hollywood Homicide.
This movie has Rene Russo, Don Johnson, Cheech Marin, and the great Mr. Kevin Costner, the drunk Kevin Costner. I think this is the first movie I've seen him in where he's got a bottle in his hand more than something else.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Jeff, we talked about this. This was not a movie that you were into.
Didn't really like it.
Knowing how you didn't like Bull Durham, I had a feeling that this was going to happen. You know,
I don't know, man. I don't know if it's just Kevin Costner. Again, can somebody, if you want to do look, actors, again, to the 20 people who are listening, if you're becoming an actor and you use an accent, use the accent through the whole damn movie. And if you're a director and an actor starts using the accent, you need to tell him, you got to keep it up or you got to just drop it. I mean, he's got a Southern accent halfway through the movie, then he just drops. I don't know. He had a good swing. I thought he looked good doing it. You know, I give that to Kevin Costner. In all these movies, he looks like, you know, he's doing the part. Like the baseball movie, he's got a good swing, he can throw. And this one, he's got a good golf swing. I just don't think he's that great of an actor sometimes.
He underwent extensive training for that one.
Did he? Yeah. I mean, I liked, you know, what we did for Love of the Game. I thought that was good.
Field of
Dreams. That one. Field of Dreams is great. Love Field of Dreams.
Day.
I think it's these. I don't know if it's
the love stories.
These.
It's the love stories. That's what it is. You don't like the love stories.
I think it is. It's a love story for Love of the Game.
Yeah, and we could have done without it. You didn't need Kelly Preston.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
that's definitely
Annie
true.
Savoy. Annie Savoy was a narrator. She could have just stuck with Tim Robbins, and you know, been the love story in Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, that's true.
But I understand. You know, I completely get where you're coming from. This movie, I had never watched it. My kids asked if they could, and I said it's rated R. And then, of course, they asked me why. I said, guys, there's more than likely going to be sex scenes in it, and there's more than likely going to be cussing in it. Well, we hear that all the time. Yeah, but we have a cuss jar now. Okay, we have a cuss jar. Guess what? Next time I hear it, you're going in the jar.
That's funny.
Rene Russo as Dr. Griswold. I kind of chuckled at that. You know.
Oh, I didn't even catch that. Vacation.
The role was initially offered to Michelle Pfeiffer. The role of David Sims was originally offered to 007 himself, Pierce Brosnan.
That would have been better too.
There's two supporting characters in this movie. So there's one of the guys from Salome, which is a fictional town, is Lance's dad from Varsity Blues. Come on, Lance, let's go.
Yeah, that's right.
However he does it. And then there's
that's right.
Yeah.
Right. I forgot that. Yeah, he wasn't that. Huh.
One of the cops from Heat. He's in Al Pacino's unit. That's the other guy. He's the redheaded guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I kind of did a little bit. And then there's Cheech Marin. And I think that Cheech Marin's character in this movie was definitely in the hunt for best supporting actor because the dude had such a good role. He's like, oh, you want to use 3-iron? Cool. Done. Oh, you want to use a driver? Cool. Done. That scene right there was just like, dude, you know what?
That was a
Get out of here. You know, you don't want to listen to me?
That was a good scene. I did like that. But, like, I don't know, man. Like, what was the point of his... What was Cheech? Okay, I get the point of his character, right? It was there to do basically... His character was there to literally have that scene. You know, for when he was going to... Because you knew... I mean, it was clear that was going to happen. Like, that was clear as day. He's gonna have this breakdown, and they were gonna have the fight. But like, why is Cheech just there in general in that town, hanging out at this? Why are these dudes just hanging out at this golf course out in the middle of nowhere? What do they? What does he do for work? Like, I don't understand why he's there in this universe. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? You know, I didn't. Who is he, and why is he here? Why is he just this dude's sidekick? Like, I didn't get. I didn't. I don't know. I didn't understand that at all.
Small
I
town,
didn't get why he's
small
there.
town drunks,
It,
small town
I
drunks that
guess.
never
I
left,
guess, man.
or that showed
I
up in a
guess.
Winnebago and just didn't go away.
I just stop right there. Like, you just, all right, just pull my Winnebago on the side of the road, just live there. Like, I don't think you can do that. Like, you know,
Not
I
anymore.
don't think that's a thing.
Not anymore.
No, that's true. It was the 90s. It was Wild West back there in Texas in the 90s.
In a West Texas town of Salome.
Yeah.
I think I wrote down a couple times about the relationship between Molly and Roy, and I kept going back to the similarities between Annie Savoy and Crash Davis in Bull Durham, and I kept going back to it, and I kept going back to it, and then there was one time where he's on the course where he can't get her out of his head. He keeps thinking about her, and it's like, step out of the box, meet who the fuck is Annie? And it's the same thing. There were some times in this where I think he challenged a guy to a golf match, and he picked up the golf ball and he hit it with a baseball bat. And I was like, oh, there's Crash's swing right there.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. 100%. You could totally see it. Yeah. Yeah. That was kind of cool. That was, I didn't, I guess it was fine. I guess, I don't know.
It's all right. Jeff, you know what the prize is for the U.S. Open?
No.
$20 million.
Whoa, shit. Are you serious?
Wow.
And do you really just need a 2 handicap or lower?
I mean, I'm never going to get there. That was the best 12 I ever saw. The location of the U.S. Open of golf changes every year. In 2023, it was in Los Angeles, and I didn't know why it was such a big deal. It's like, oh, we're going to the U.S. Open. Like, okay, that's cool. No, we're going to the U.S. Open. Okay, I guess it's the next biggest thing to the Masters. I had no idea.
Yeah.
But this year it's in North Carolina, and
yeah, the Masters is the one. I would love to go to the Masters. That's like, that's up there with going to the World Series. I mean, I've been to a World Series when I was young. I'd be up there like going to Super Bowl. Yeah. I would really love to go to the Masters. That would be really cool.
Here's something that Baseballism had put out: Field of Dreams, Hall of Fame, All-Star Game. How would you rank? Or I think it was either All-Star Game or World Series. How would you rank those three? And I was kind of like, well, I've been to an All-Star Game. I've been to a World Series game. I've been to the Hall of Fame. But Field of Dreams, like, I think Field of Dreams is on top of that list because, of course, number one, I haven't been there.
That'd be cool.
And number two, like, you're going out into the corn, man. You are guests in my corn.
That's cool. That'd be neat, yeah.
But when she shows up with all that gear and he's like, what are you doing with this funny stuff on? And she's, and then later in the movie,
she had all the tech gear on and stuff like that.
And then later in the movie, she comes to the Winnebago and he's got all of it on. He's like, you know what? You might be onto something here. And he went from the pro back to the beginner, and he's got a case of the shanks. And it's like, how
got the yips there,
how do you fix it? It's like, get
a little Chuck Knobloch there, a
get
little
out of your
Steve
head.
Sachs, yeah.
But then it was hilarious when she comes like, oh, you want to get rid of them? Cool. Do exactly as I say. Take all your change. It's like, take all your change, take your change out of your left pocket, put it in your right. Turn your hat backward. Untuck your shirt.
Sometimes that works, man.
And put this. And he hands him the marker, and he's like, and stick this. And I was waiting for it. I was waiting for him to say, stick it in your ass. But he's like, stick it behind your left ear. And that was great. And then he friggin' golfs 72 holes on a fucking bender.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that. It's like you shot the course low, an 83 on a bender.
That's crazy. Yep. That's crazy.
And they're giving him a hard time, but then they're sitting in the bar, and it's like, Molly shows up after Don Johnson basically pushes those people away for the autograph, and she's like, you know what? I bet you this that he could knock this ball over that lake, knock the pelican off its perch in one swing. One shot, one swing, that's all he needs. And I was like, I like where, the kind of the way that it was, that relationship, of course you can't, they could have been friends. They could have just been friends without the love scene. Didn't need the stripper. There was no reason that you needed Doreen in this movie.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
That was always that again, random
This isn't
thing.
striptease. It's not Demi Moore and whoever else was in that movie. Or Showgirls with Elizabeth Hurley. Thank you very much. But
yeah.
there was no necessity for her. There was necessity for the entourage that he had, where it's like, they're the Waffle House, and it's, how about we go somewhere that's a little bit nicer? Like, hi, this is my place. These are my people. Good
old Waffle House.
Good old Waffle House.
Yeah, her character was fine. I don't know. I just, like I said, it was. I thought this movie was fine. It wasn't that great. I didn't really care for it. And another thing I didn't like about it was, like, I thought at the end, when he's going through the climax of the scene and it's building up. Is it me, or did that Molly, or did Renee Russo's character Molly, did she just start acting crazy for no reason?
She's like, "Why? You know what? Why not? You're going for it. You're going to try to get it. You're going to keep going."
But then
and she
was acting like weird.
And she's pushing him.
I don't know. It was like for no reason, but like out of character. Like she didn't. There was no like lead up to her acting like that. There was no signs of like, oh yeah, she's going to get crazy like this. That's I don't like that. There's no indicator that she's like that. So why are we making her all like like she was like literally going like making weird noises and like it was weird. It was just weird. I want to go back to what you said though about the course, right? Was it he shot a 58 or what was it?
83.
Sorry, they mentioned he shot a 83. So I think they mentioned he shot a 59 at Cottonwood, right? A 59. Okay, so 18 holes in golf. Say you do, if you hit a 3 on every hole, that's 54 right there. He shot a 59. So that means, dude, there's only like 6 to 8, maybe not even that many. There's usually around like 5, 6, 7 par 3s. So that means that dude is birdieing almost every hole, and par 5s, he's like, that's amazing. At 59, I don't know if that's even the all-time record is 62 at the U.S. Open. So, shoot a 59
was that,
at wherever Cottonwood is.
That was Rory McIlroy, and that was somebody else, right?
Yeah, I think so. That's crazy. I mean, that's insane.
So what's also really awesome is after they say his name and they're, Roy McIlroy, and I'm like, oh, there's 2 other famous McIlroys. One of them is an actor, James McAvoy, who plays Professor X in the X-Men movies. He's also in a really good one produced by Robert Redford called The Conspirator, about a group of people that were conspiring to assassinate Lincoln, with Sally Field. Kevin Kline's also in it. That one was really good, really well done. And then there is Charlie McAvoy, and Charlie is a player on the Boston Bruins. So,
Boston Bruins. That's the hat that had.
Look at that! Look at that connection. We're going off the reels again.
Look at that!
Yeah, Jeff did it.
One other thing I kind of want to mention that I noticed in this film, and it has to do with Ron Shelton and the way that he I don't want to blanket statement, but I noticed a similarity between this and Bull Durham, and I don't think it really applies. It maybe applies to Cobb a little bit. He had his filmmaking technique in this one in Bull Durham is like, we're not starting this story. If you think of a movie and any story, you have 3 acts, right? It's 3-act play. You have the introduction, and you have the conflict, and you have the resolution. He starts these movies at the end of act 1 almost. Like, it's like we're jumping into it, like how you mentioned, like she showed up to the golf course with all that gear. And it's just like they just jump into the action and the into the scene. There's no like, hi, I'm Annie, you know what I mean? Like, hi, nice to meet you. What do you know? It's like we just jump into it. And he kind of did that same thing how you met Nuke. You just jump into the middle of a season of the Durham Bulls. Switch that there. You just jump into the middle of the season and you just you're not really like, it's not a classic introduction in the classical sense of like, hey, you guys are talking like, oh, that's what's his name over there, and and then he comes walking up. It's an interesting technique that he uses because you jump right into the middle of the story. It feels like, and then you have another character come in and fill in the backstory. Whether it's a Susan Sarandon character filling in the crash, this one Don Johnson literally comes in and fills in what's his name's Roy McAvoy's backstory for him, and then there's throughout the film it's filled in a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, and then you find out this happened even previous to that. So it's an interesting technique that he uses, not starting kind of at point A. You're kind of starting at right before B. It's starting a little bit where the movie's already. It's like almost like these movies could start a half an hour earlier and then work up to that part where the movie actually starts, which it's an interesting technique, and I kind of appreciate it, because it's not traditional filmmaking.
It's kind of like Tarantino, where Tarantino does it a lot differently, and he takes plots and plots and plots and plots.
Yeah.
I think the way Tarantino does it is he takes so many other stories and just brings them together, like Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, the Kill Bill movies. I still have to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I don't know what's taken me so long, but he's taken so many things and just meshed them together, and it's worked out really well for him, where he is one of the best known actors or best known directors around. Django was a little bit different for me. I didn't really care for it, but
Django was amazing. I love that movie. That was crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't see the Hateful Eight. That's I didn't see that one either.
So a couple things. Okay, Doreen, you get a pass because you told us why he was Tin Cup. Had a pitcher on his high school baseball team with a major league curve, and it sounded better than Clank. All right, I could dig it. I haven't played baseball, haven't been a catcher, haven't worn a cup. I didn't know cups were metal. Were cups metal when you were coming up, Jeff?
Oh no, they were not.
Yeah.
They were regular old plastic.
You got your road trip, by the way. You got your road trip.
Yeah, I got a little road trip in it. It wasn't enough.
We're about as comfortable. Salvage. We're about as comfortable as an old pair of shoes. You can't shank with your putter. Your brain was getting in the way, and you always play better when you're wasted. Yeah,
I'm the antithesis of that.
And then Kevin Costner movies. I want to go through these a little bit. He was Jonathan Kent in the Batman versus Superman movies and the Superman movie. 3,000 Miles.
And he was really good.
He was very good in that.
He was really good in that.
3,000 Miles to Graceland. Him and Kurt Russell.
Never saw it.
Very good. 2001. For Love of the Game, we talked about him in Draft Day. Wyatt Earp. While Tombstone is the quintessential Western movie of this generation, and you cannot knock me down from that perch, Wyatt Earp is a second. Wyatt Earp is very good.
Yeah.
Bodyguard with Whitney Houston.
Never seen it. I'm an Unforgiven kind of guy. Unforgiven, Clint Eastwood. That movie is bad ass.
What's funny is I was looking at Instagram earlier today, and I thought about this, where it shows a picture of Marty McFly from 1885, and then it shows Clint Eastwood 1955 from then on. It's like, this is great. This is great.
Clint.
Yeah.
That's great.
Robin Hood, of course, Dances with Wolves, Field of Dreams, Bull Durham. Oh, one movie I have to ask if you've seen is The Untouchables with Al Pacino and Kevin Costner and Sean Connery. And
I never saw that actually. No, never saw it.
It's
I never saw
Al
that
Capone
one.
and Elliot Ness. Yeah.
Never saw that one. I should. Is it Pacino or De Niro?
I think Pacino.
Isn't it De Niro? Is it
Pacino? Yeah.
Pacino? Yeah, I never saw that one. I don't know why. That's I always like mobster movies. I don't know why I never saw
it's
that
long.
One. I heard there's a brutal like, didn't he beat his head with a bat or something? Doesn't somebody get their head
early in the
open?
movie? Yeah, there's a baseball bat scene.
Yeah, I think I heard about that. Yeah,
there is a.
I think I'm like a love-hate with Kevin Costner. You know what I mean? Like I think with him, it's like I either really like that movie or I just really don't like it. I don't. He's one of those guys I don't have an in between with. You know what I mean? Like something like, it's fine. It's like I'm like, I don't like this movie, or otherwise I'm like, I really like Field of Dreams. Obviously, I really like Draft Day. For Love of the Game was pretty good. Otherwise, I'm like, these movies suck.
Draft Day was great. I really wanted a Draft Day.
Yeah, that was really good. Really,
and we're coming up on Draft Day too. A couple other things I wanted to hit on before we wrap this episode. When the press conference, he's He's like, I think a guy like me bothers to worry about the percentages. And then how many times, it takes him 12 shots on that. And that's actually based on a real story. I didn't look into who the golfer was, but it was a homage to a golfer that
Yeah,
shot a 12 at the U.S. Open.
I think I saw that
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
And there
yeah,
is
that's
what we were
interesting.
talking about. There is a tin cup challenge, so you can only use a 7-iron, and
Oh,
it's in Appleton, Wisconsin,
that'd be fun. That'd be
right?
cool.
But yeah, I I thought this movie was good. It was fair. It wasn't. It's not going to be my favorite Kevin Costner movie. Of course, my mom was a huge Kevin Costner fan, so Dances with Wolves and Robin Hood are always two of those movies for me. I know Robin Hood's not the greatest, especially with the accent, but Morgan Freeman plays amazing.
He was great.
Um,
Christian
Christian
Slater, his
Slater,
80s,
um,
90s haircut.
yeah,
It's great.
yeah,
That movie's a mess, but it's so
yeah,
great.
and then
Alan Rickman
Alan
is
Rickman is
so good in
as
that movie.
the the sheriff of Nottingham. Um, but the the producer's right. This was the most painful thing that I was like, all right, cool, it's gonna go in, and then he friggin' sinks it on the 12th one. Like
Yeah,
you kind of start to feel for the guy where he's like, just drop, 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 drop.
yeah,
Like, dude, can can you stop being so egotistical about it? And
freaking stubborn,
at
and
some
yeah,
point in the movie, it's like you don't listen. You're too loud, you're too proud, and you don't listen to anybody. And then Cheech Marin's like, dude, just go for it. Like, what? I can't stop you. How can I stop you?
yeah.
You can stop yourself.
Tried once, didn't
Yeah,
work.
I tried
Yeah,
once and we broke all your clubs. So, all right, cool. You know what? Go for it, man. I got nothing. And I really, like I said, I love Cheech Marin. I love all of the Cheech and Chong movies that I've seen that I can
yeah.
remember. But this movie was hilarious. I remember.
I can't remember them all, Nick.
That's a That's a great question. If anybody out there knows, anybody out there knows. Thank you, Butch, by the way, for coming into Trader Joe's and saying what's up to me a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah, I heard of. Yeah, he
Yeah.
told me about that.
Was there
Right
anything
on,
else
man.
about these movies that you wanted to discuss?
No, it was just cool. What I liked about Tin Cup is you got to see like Phil Mickelson, back in the night. Like how young he looked, and some of those other guys that you haven't heard about in a while. I think there's Lee Jansen was in there. I think, and just both of them. You saw a bunch of guys. I'm drawing blanks now. I should have wrote them down, but I put my notes away. Yeah, it was just cool seeing those old golfers look what they look like back in the
Yeah,
'90s.
it was a lot of fun.
It was cool.
And that'll
Yeah.
do it for another episode of Going Off the Reels. Thank you again for joining us. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and have a great weekend.
See you later, everybody. All right.